Channel 31 acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land on which these episodes were filmed, the Yorta Yorta and Tanarong peoples, as well as the Wurundjeri peoples, the custodians of the land on which the Channel 31 studio is based. After being cooped up in our homes for just a bit too long and with no overseas travel in sight, there's no better time to explore our own backyard. We decided to embark on an old-fashioned road trip to explore new attractions and old favourites in the beautiful state of Victoria. Join me over the next 9 weeks as I do just that on Rediscover Victoria. In this series, I'll be headed all around the state to find everything that Victoria has to offer. Wine, food, arts, nature and more. And I'll be doing it all behind the wheel of a 1950s Kombi named Harriet. First up on the trip, we've driven about 2 hours north of Melbourne to Tahbilk Winery. Established in 1860, Tahbilk comprises of 1,214 hectares of rich river flats located in the Goulburn Valley. Hi, I'm Annie Louey and welcome to Rediscover Victoria. Right now I'm standing at the Tahbilk Winery where we're about to check out some wines and see what else they have to offer. Let's go. I'm headed into the beautiful vineyard to meet with CEO Alistair Purbrick, who comes from a long legacy of winemakers. Alistair, thank you so much for having us. Tell me a little bit about what you do.
I'm a trained winemaker,
Yep.
So very much involved with the winemaking here. So we're 100% estate grown, estate made and estate bottled.
And you've got so many achievements under your belt already. I heard that you are Victoria's oldest winery.
Yes, we are. And the really great thing that sets us apart here is the fact that all of the old buildings that date back to the 1860s, 70s and 80s are all intact. So people, when they visit, actually get a sense that they've stepped back in time.
You have a particular Shiraz that's very special. Tell me about that.
Well, this is our equivalent to Henschke Hill of Grace, if you like. It's certainly our most expensive wine. And this is a single vineyard wine made from Shiraz that was planted in 1860, which are amongst the oldest Shiraz vines in the world.
The first time I've heard someone say Shiraz. Now I feel super fancy and I will only refer to it as Shiraz now. And you have a few people on site to run the museum as well? What's that about?
Well, we've got a whole lot of activities that people can do on site. Part of it is the museum, so that traces the estate's history back to 1835, which was about when Melbourne was settled. And we've also got a whole lot of ecotourism, so people can do a cruise on the boat. There's about 5 kilometres of walking trails that people can do. There's just so much bird life, wildlife out there. And you can even see your favourite koala.
And Tahbilk is a family-owned business as well. How did it get started?
Well, I'm a 4th generation winemaker. I'm happy to report that my daughter Hayley has also been working with us for 10 years now. So we've got 5 generations invested in Tahbilk, but it wasn't our family that actually established Tahbilk back in 1860. My great-grandfather, Reggie Purbrick, purchased the property from the founding family in 1925. So we're coming up for our 100-year ownership anniversary in 5 years' time, which will be fantastic.
Obviously, you have to invite us all to the party.
Absolutely.
Fabulous. And you have some vines that date back to the 1800s even.
Yes, so we've only got one tiny little 1.5-acre block that was planted in 1860, a patch of Shiraz, and we make certainly our most expensive wine from that single block.
All right, so if you know so much about wine on this property, let me test you. What kind of wine are you growing here?
This is almost like a Dorothy Dixer. We talked about the 1860 planted Shiraz vines. This is the daughter of or son of. So we took cuttings off those original vines and we've planted them here.
You've got a few other ones. What's the most popular overall?
We've got some wines that we are very well known for. And one, which it speaks Tahbilk. You say this variety, and everyone thinks, oh yeah, that's Tahbilk, and that's Marsanne. We have about 100 acres planted, and the 100 acres is the largest single holding of Marsanne in the world, which means there's not a lot of Marsanne planted in the world.
Wow.
So for people that might not have tried Marsanne, it's a sort of cross between an unoaked Chardonnay and a Riesling. It's very crisp, it's got a lot of minerality, it's got lovely, lovely flavours, but the beauty of it is it ages really, really well.
So what would you recommend would be the first thing for someone to try if they're new to this whole area?
The two wines that you must try when you visit, Marsanne is obviously one, and our Cabernet Sauvignon. And it just depends how much you want to spend, but they're all really good wines to enjoy now.
I said goodbye to Alistair and headed over to the museum to meet manager Bruce Mincherton and learn more about the winery's rich history.
So here we are in the museum, and here's where we keep a pictorial representation of 160 years of Tahbilk. Over on the left here is the maps and the granting of the land.
And who have you got for the portraits on the wall?
There's some of the early founders. There was John Pinney, and he was actually the financier. He was the richest man in Melbourne at the time. Some of the other people who came up and joined him, they had actually were in the goldfields, but they didn't make their money in the goldfields, but they saw the opportunity for agriculture and for wine. And you're standing
Yeah, what is this?
over the end of one of our underground cellars.
I have a fear of heights.
That's the maturation cellar down there where we put the wines into barrels and then they're stored there for many years.
I'm loving it, but I might just step away from this now. And I see you've got a long list of names on two of these boards. What are they about?
That's right. So this completely lists all the winemakers and the general managers going right back to the start of Tahbilk in 1860s. So in nearly 100 years of history of public ownership of Tahbilk, we've only had two executive winemakers. So you're standing over the underground maturation cellars a little while ago. Let's go down there.
Fantastic.
So we'll head
Looking
down there
forward
now.
to it. Let's go.
Let's go this way. So this cellar was built when the winery directly above it was built in the 1860s. Okay, so it's just hollowed out and dug out. There's no temperature control except for the fact that it's underground.
I can see that. It's really cool in here.
Yeah, it maintains this temperature year round. With new barrels, you get a flavour of oak, which we don't particularly want in our wines. We want the fruit to shine. So we want the maturation effects that you do get from storing in oak.
Yep. Okay. And what is the difference between all the sizes? Why do some of them have to be in big barrels and some?
The larger the barrel, the slower the maturation. Okay, it's just a ratio of the amount of wood to the volume of wine. So that's all that's about. So the bigger they are, the slower things happen. So if you have them at different sizes, you're getting a slightly different effect into the wine, and then you can blend those together to get the exact precise wine that you want.
I'm just really impressed by all the big things, and I'm trying to spot the biggest one. That one's pretty big.
Yeah, the biggest one is actually down the far end.
What's in it?
They'll have Shiraz in it at the moment, and those are in fact very old. They go back, they're over 100 years old, those ones down there. So as we're standing here, so we can look down both cellars, we're looking at 350,000 litres of wine.
That's a lot of wine. I feel a little drunk inhaling the air now.
Well, that's right. The wine is rich in those earthy and old oak smells as well.
It's a beautiful smell.
So you're impressed with all this?
Yeah, I'm keen to try something from the biggest barrel and something that you like and maybe your most popular wines.
Yeah, okay. Let's go do some tasting.
Whilst filming Rediscover Victoria, our crew travelled in style thanks to Harriet the Kombi, where the dream and possibility of driving a Volkswagen Kombi has become a reality. Our team of Volkswagens are here for you to experience the joy and magic of a Kombi ride for all purposes, including camping, weddings, marketing, photo shoots and more. When you think of a Kombi, you can't help but smile, and the experience of a Kombi trip is once in a lifetime. For inquiries or to book your next Kombi, head to hireakombi.com.
Bruce and I set up on a barrel next to the Goulburn River to begin tasting some of Tahbilk's best varieties, starting with the famous Marsanne, which I've already heard great things about.
The first one we're going to taste is Marsanne. So that's the signature white wine for Tahbilk.
This is the one that Alistair talked about, and it's already won some awards despite being a 2020 version.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, so I want you to taste that. First of all, we have a bit of a look at the colour.
It's a lot lighter than this one.
That's right. The colour gives us an indication of age. So what are the aromas? What do you think it smells like?
Fruity, light, a little bit sweet. Not too sweet though. But yeah, I would say it's like a Sauvignon Blanc or maybe a Riesling.
I'll often say it's like a sophisticated Sauvignon Blanc. It doesn't have that big punch that Sauvignon Blanc has. It is a little bit more refined. Your reference to sweet was interesting because it is a dry wine. It's not a sweet wine.
Well, yeah, because I'm not really a savvy bee drinker,
Hey,
but this
you're right.
I could drink and feel a little bit fancy.
So have another smell and the taste and saying,
Yeah.
now that I've given you a hint and saying it's not actually sweet, what do you think you're smelling or tasting that led you to say sweet? Would you say it's a little bit like honey?
Yeah. Very
So-
fruity, florally, honey.
Yeah. So that's the characteristic of Masan, is this honey character. And that's where you've had that association with sweet. Because, we know honey is sweet, so if we smell honey, oh, this must be sweet.
Yes.
It's just a natural
Yeah.
association we make.
So now we're going to taste the older version of
Yeah,
that.
first of all, Masan is regarded as it's one of the few white wines that can actually age in the bottle. And when I'm talking about aging, it can be 20 or 30 years. And the thing that makes Masan, its ability to age so long, is the acid structure of the wine. So I'll pour this one, and then we'll put you to the test again for you to tell us.
I want to do well in tests, so
Yeah.
I'm eagerly awaiting my A+ on this.
Okay.
It's a lot stronger in smell.
Yes.
Not as much honey coming through.
Honey changes. It intensifies and goes over to more like honeycomb. Just the aging characteristics that come through. So there are extra aromas and flavours that come through just through aging. Masan typically starts at honey, goes to honeycomb, a violet crumble bar without the chocolate.
Oh, yeah, just the crumble bit. Yeah. Not as fruity.
No.
Yeah, definitely not as sweet. Maybe more, I would compare it to a Chardonnay.
Your reference there is right. It's more body about the wine. It's a bigger mouthful of wine than the younger wine.
So yeah, I quite like both of those.
Yeah.
And to begin with, I didn't even know what
Masan.
Masan, yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know what that was. I've learned a lot. Masan and Shiraz.
Yes.
And what are we doing with this one?
Is you asked me downstairs to get your taste of wine out of the biggest barrel.
Yeah, because I love novelty things.
So here we've got. So this is our Estate Cabernet Sauvignon, and this one has been in that barrel. So obviously being a large barrel, it's one of the wines we make in bigger quantities.
Yep. Does it make it less expensive?
This one is more at the value end of our range. That's what we call our Estate range, and this is in the low $20 per bottle.
Yep. Oh, sweet. I can afford that. Might get a bottle on the way out. It smells like a normal red to me. I'm not getting anything.
Well, that's good. It means there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah,
then.
nothing wrong with it. Well, I've enjoyed all of those, and I'm really glad that I found out about a new type of wine. You did mention food, so I am feeling a little bit hungry. Shall we head over to the restaurant?
I was about to say, we've got a solution for that.
Excellent.
Let's head across to the restaurant.
Having sampled the delicious wines, I headed down to the restaurant for a bite to eat. We have had an incredible morning here at Tahbilk Winery. We are going to have some lunch now here at the restaurant, which is called the Wetlands View, with a wonderful view of the wetlands. So I've got the lamb here. This is the mushroom croquette. We've also got the cheese for dessert, some sweet macadamia nuts and apple there. And this wine is the 2012 Shiraz. So I'll see you in a little bit. After lunch, I jumped back in Harriet and we hit the road. We're heading further north to the town of Shepparton to visit the Bangerang Cultural Centre. Located in Shepparton, the Bangarang Cultural Centre is a must visit. Established in 1982, it is the first Aboriginal cultural keeping place or museum to be developed and managed by the Aboriginal community. The centre houses an important collection of artefacts and artworks from the Aboriginal communities across Australia, whilst focusing on local communities of the Murray and Goulburn Valleys. Let's head inside and catch up with Kevin and Clint, who are going to take us on the grand tour. Tell us a little bit about the significance of where we are right now.
This here has got a lot of Indigenous artefacts. Also, it's got 4 dioramas that depict Aboriginal culture right across Victoria. Also, it's an education building as well, because not only for educating the Indigenous community, but the wider community on too, about how Aboriginals lived back in tribal days.
Is there a favourite part of the exhibits that you have here?
Probably one of my favourites would be the possum skin cloak. Beautiful big piece of art, and also what it was used for. So that was used in the opening ceremony of the Commonwealth Games in 2006. So a pretty special piece.
It sounds like there's a lot of history here, so let's go around and take a look. As you tour the beautifully designed octagonal-shaped building, you'll see a variety of artefacts and 4 dioramas that depict Indigenous culture across Victoria. The Cultural Centre was set up to educate the community about the rich traditions and history of our First Nations peoples. The tour begins with the beautiful possum skin cloak that Clint mentioned earlier.
Because all Indigenous communities around Victoria were asked to participate in the Commonwealth's 206 Games, and we've come up with this here concept because that represents the long line going through the Murray River, and over in New Barmer there's two lakes, there's the Barmer Lakes and Warrior Lakes, and that's all of our people's country there as well.
So it functions like a map as well?
Yeah, a map, spot on. And as I say, you'll see the animals there, that's all involved with our country there, and then for people who are into history back then, that line there represents the Tahbilk fault, and the fault is a fault line, and it dropped and it changed the directions of the rivers, and that's why the rivers run that way now. And also sand hills, and those sand hills were the foreshore of a big lake that was formed when the earth dropped, so that's...
I had no idea. We moved on to the next installation, where I learnt all about dilly bags. So we'll head down this way, where I can see some outfits, bags.
Dilly bags, they were used for, for women when they was going out hunting for yabbies or little fish or whatever they needed.
Yeah, it does look very fashionable. This is very hipster. I would like one of these.
Yeah, koi one, yeah. This here depicts at the back of that, you'll see where it's Mount Buffalo in the background, and all tribes around November, they used to make their way up to the high country, and they'd get amongst all the cracks in the rocks because it was cool. This here sort of represents all the people that used to live around near the waterways. There'd be more numbers of them, they'd be more healthy and they wouldn't be as nomadic as the ones in Central, because having a water system, you had food in it and food had to come and get a drink. So as you can see down there, you've got yellow-bellied fish, and you have mussels, kangaroos, and also for water vessels, you'll see that big scar there. They'd take that off the side of a big old tree, prep it, and then they'd be off to go out and get themselves a feed.
And there is a tradition of preserving nature. Is that something that we are seeing here too?
Yeah, because that way there, they wouldn't kill the trees, that would still live.
And same with animals.
The way that you didn't wipe out any species was we had a totem system. So you might have one clan that wouldn't eat a certain animal, but the next clan would. It wasn't fished out or you didn't kill it out.
Thank you so much, Kevin and Clint, for having us at the Bangerang Cultural Centre. I've learnt so much, and I hope that other people watching will come and visit as well, because you are completely independent. If you want more details about the Bangerang Cultural Centre, they will be down below. After our first day on the road, me, Harry and the crew were ready to chill out for the night in the lovely city of Shepparton. We're back at the accommodation here in Shepparton, and it was my first time driving Harriet or Harry today, and it was my dream when I was 19 to get in a Kombi van and do a trip around Australia, which I never got to do. I feel like I've gotten it out of my system in just one day because she is hard work. She's got no power steering, but I enjoy that. I can't wait to get on the road tomorrow and go to Cactus Country. I've seen some super Instagrammable shots on social media already, so I'm really pumped. Bring on day 2. Oh, and how could I forget this little known icon we spotted right in the centre of town? A giant KFC bucket! Stay tuned for more big things coming up in this episode.
Whilst filming Rediscover Victoria in the Greater Shepparton area, our crew chose to stay at the Churches. This beautifully renovated historic church is nestled on a spacious, picturesque rural property. It's the perfect place for a short break out of the city or a longer relaxing holiday with family or friends. Only 10 minutes from the heart of Shepparton, your time at this gorgeous property will be the highlight of your next visit to Shepparton. To book your stay at the Churches, head to thechurches.com.au.
It's day 2 of Rediscover Victoria, and we're headed to Cactus Country, located just 45 minutes north of Shepparton in Strathmerton. I'm on my way to check out the largest collection of cacti in Australia. Cactus Country sits at a huge 12-acre garden and has thousands of varieties of incredible plants. I'm off to take a stroll through Mexico and the Sahara without leaving Victoria. Here we are, we have arrived at Cactus Country. We're going to check out some of the cacti from around the world. I hear they've got a garden for every part of the world where they've got cacti. So let's get some Instagram shots. Everybody follow me. We're now here at Cactus Country, 3 hours north of Melbourne, and I'm joined by half man, half cactus. It's John. He's the CEO and owner of Cactus Country. We're about to go on a walking tour, so let's head in.
Awesome, let's do it.
So it's a really big place. I heard you've got quite a few acres here. How big is it?
So we've got around 12 acres of garden now. Dad's adding another 8 acres in at the moment, so pretty soon this will be a 20-acre cactus garden.
And they started it?
So Jim and Julie started the garden back in '86 and it was officially opened in '88. It's just grown out of control, so what's in front of us now is the beginning of the garden, which was just a 1/4 acre. And as those plants grew, Dad realised he was going to have to split them up into areas of origin. So we now have South America, North America and Mexico, and right over the back there's Africa. So we're continuing to plant things in their themes, just so that people can get an idea of what kind of plants you'd see in different regions.
And where did you get the first cuttings from?
So Ed Cromer, back in the 50s and 60s, was collecting plants from all over the world. So he had this incredible collection. The family approached Dad when he passed away. The family found us and said, would you be prepared to take these plants on? Dad eventually scrounged up the money to start this collection. It was originally a peach orchard, so that was all sort of bulldozed, and then, yeah, what you see today is sort of 30 years of hard work.
Yeah. Do you have a favourite spot?
I do, yeah. So this is our big Passacana Terscheckii. So it sort of looks like the big saguaros that you see in the movies, but it's a slightly different variety. What I love about it is just the height and the amount of big chunky arms it has on it.
And you've got an amazing Instagram feed as well, and people tagging this place. Has it really boomed recently?
Yeah, social media has been huge for us. So it's something that I've been working really hard on for the last, say 10 plus years. When I first got into the business, Mum and Dad were like, could you please stop wasting your time online and do some work? And I said, no, this will pay off, trust me. Once it took off, it really took off. It was about 2 in 3 people were coming from Instagram to visit Cactus Country. And you know, most of our audience is coming from Melbourne. And so they wouldn't have found us had we not been on social media. It enabled us to really showcase what we have. Weddings have started as well, which has been a really exciting development for us. Who would have thought people would want to get married out in such a prickly place?
Yep.
But some of the photography from those has been some of the most popular. Yeah.
How often do you smash that cacti emoji?
Oh yeah, a lot. It's basically my signature at the end of every message and email.
So good. And you said that some of the cacti are blooming at different times. What are some of the colourful ones that we might see around or might not see because the season's over?
Yeah, well, it's sort of nearing the end of the season now. There'll still be some flowers to come. We usually get a white Christmas around Christmas time where the big San Pedros and cereus all flower at once. But if you come around the end of October, early November, you'll just see a flood of colour. A video Dad did this year's had like 7 million views already.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible the colours that you get.
This is probably a question you get asked a lot. How many injuries have you had in this garden?
No, you're okay, don't worry. That's totally fine.
You break it, you buy it, Lauren.
What just happened there?
Lauren just destroyed Cactus Country and now there's juice coming out of one of the cacti plants. Director Lauren. After we patched up the cactus and the crew, we continued on our walk through the garden. I think the temptation is for people to pick a bit because they are so easy to grow, right? But
absolutely.
You do have a gift shop for that.
Yeah, we've got a large plant sales area now, so that's something that we've really worked hard to achieve. It's taken us many, many years to get the amount of plants that we have in there and the variety of plants that we have in there, because obviously people come out here and just see how huge this is and all the varieties that we have, like over 4,000 species out here. And when they get back to plant sales, they're like, have you got that red flowering or that pink flowering or that? And so, yeah, we've really tried to get more into plant sales for that reason.
Yeah, it's really a good idea because you see it and you kind of really want to take it home. After a lovely walk through the garden with John, I'm keen to check out the gift shop and pick out a little succulent to take home with me. I want to buy all of the things that I've seen, and you have that service here.
Yeah, we do. So like I said earlier, we've really worked hard to try and expand our plant sales range. This is the only place to get some of our genuine hybrids, to get big cuttings from the garden as well, like established plants. I don't think there's really anyone else hitting that market. So,
well, there you go. You heard it here first. Yep. Now I have to go and pick something I want to take home.
Good luck.
I picked myself a spiny friend, said goodbye to John, and went in search of the biggest fruit in Victoria. We've made it to the end of episode 1. We went to a winery, we went and got cultured, we even saw some cacti, and now we're here in Koonoomoo in front of the big strawberry. I'll let you in on a secret. Our producer Lauren wasn't so sure about the big things, but you know what? I've snuck it into the itinerary because I am a big fan. There's so much more to see of Victoria with my friend Harry here. Hopefully she holds up. But make sure you keep an eye out on our socials and I'll see you next time.